Welcome to the latest episode of the Real World Nutrition Podcast. This is episode 166, Dealing with Holiday Stress in Real Life and Practical Tips to Stay Calm. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real World Nutrition Podcast. I am Shelley Rael, host and founder of Real World Nutrition and a registered dietitian nutritionist. And today I want to address something that is common this time of year as this is being recorded and drops. It is December. It is a December in which, while people say Christmas is coming early this year, as always, it's coming on December 25th. But what most people mean, I believe, is that gap or that time between Thanksgiving in the United States and Christmas is shorter this year just by the nature of Thanksgiving coming so late in the month on the calendar. Of course, it was still the fourth Thursday of the month, but that fourth Thursday was the 28th, making it much later this year. So, of course, you know what's happening if you are living and celebrate or observe Thanksgiving. So, one of the things I want to talk about is this common thing of stress this time of year. And why do we tend to have more stress this time of year? Well, of course, there's so many things going on. In my line of work, I have the same task to do every single month. And when there's holiday months or shorter months, that means there's fewer days in which I have those tasks to complete. Fewer days to complete those tasks. So if I have 20 things to do, but only 15 days to do it, that means, I've got multiple things to do. And I wish it was that short or that short a list, a to-do list. But with the holidays, there's these many things that we feel we must participate in or be a part of, as well as those things that we do have to participate in as well. So for example, today I was making my list of those holiday treats that I want to bake this year. I love doing those. I do it once a year. It's somewhat ridiculous because it's 4 things for a very small family. And where's the pressure in that? Where's the stress in that? Truly, it's all self-imposed, or most of it is. There are some of those treats that my family specifically asks for. Other ones, I just enjoy making them, so I choose to. But that is self-imposed stress. And of course, it comes in this time of year. So, what I want to talk about today is some of those realistic strategies for managing holiday stress and, some coping things. While you may be familiar with some of these may be new or a reminder of how we can manage our stress. So first, I want to talk about a couple of things about stress and understanding stress. So stress is really the body's reaction to demands or pressures. And these can be physical stresses. So for example, when we're exercising or doing strength training or weightlifting, we add more weight and that puts more stress, in a good way, hopefully, on our body. But of course, the stress I'm talking about is those demands of our life, the day-to-day tasks, the things that we do for other people. That tends to be a big chunk of things. Of course, our work, and whatever else we have on our to-do list, whether it's a physical list of things to do or that running list in your head, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. Now, I want to emphasize this, and this is really something that I constantly have to remind myself about, is that stress itself isn't the problem. It is our reaction to it. So again, the stress itself isn't the problem. We can have 10 people in the same room exposed to the same stressor, but people's reactions will vary significantly based on personality types, past experiences, and so many things. So again, how we react to it. And we cannot control those external factors. As much as we think we can, really, how much can you control other people? That would be things like family dynamics, their thoughts and beliefs that don't align with yours or don't agree with yours. Happens. People running late, or those long to-do lists. If those things have to be done, can we control whether or not they have to be done? Well, to a certain extent, yes, but there's, like I mentioned with my baking list, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the example is if I have 20 things to do this month, and those 20 things have to be done, but I'm going to lose a week or a week and a half at the end of December because of the holidays, that to-do list still has to be done in less time. So again, we can control our responses. We control how we prepare ourselves emotionally. And stress is not inherently bad. So a lot of times people think of the negative stress, and that's not bad because short-term stress can motivate us, and even there's stress of good things that happen. So a few years back, my son got married on New Year's Eve. That was a stressor, but that was in a good way. I had family staying. We had things to do between Christmas and the wedding / New Year's holiday. There was a lot happening, but it was so great. It was nice. It was a good stress. And even some of those little things in the pre-wedding rehearsal and the hour before the wedding that were felt like, oh no, at the moment became a non-issue afterwards. So again, stress isn't inherently bad. It can motivate us. There's the good stuff. But here's the thing. Stress originally was the physical response was to help us manage a potential danger. And of course, some of those potential dangers from the past don't exist anymore, but different types of stressors exist, and that stress response still happens. And when it doesn't have a break, it can lead to harm in our physical and mental health. So physical health, like higher blood pressure, you can have the stress response releases fats and glucose or sugar into your blood to do the fight or flight response. But if that is a continual response, that can be continually in your bloodstream and have potential damage, as well as the mental health aspects, worry or not being able to sleep, and other things that can result in additional physical manifestations. So that's a little bit more about stress. People may know that, but it's a good thing to remind people about what is happening. Now, there's a handful of things that can be done. So I'll talk about some of them, but first up, I want to talk about one of the simplest things you can do to calm your mind, and that would be breathing exercises. So this is something you can do anywhere. This can be if you're stuck in traffic, if you're in a situation like standing in a long line at the store. I had a doctor's appointment today, and luckily I arrived 15 minutes earlier because by chance I arrived 15 minutes early because the check-in line seemed really long, and there was nothing I could do about it. I was there on time. There was actually a lot of people helping with checking people in. It just happened to be long at the time. And so this would be an example of doing a breathing exercise. And again, this is something you can do anywhere in your car, and you don't have to close your eyes. So a breathing exercise can really just help with reducing the immediate feelings of stress and reduce some of those physical reactions we may have. So this is the 4-7-8 breathing technique. So 4-7-8, these are the counts that I'll be walking you through here. So what you're going to do is you breathe in through your nose for 4 counts. You hold your breath for 7 counts. And then you exhale through the mouth for 8 counts. So you inhale through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then hold 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then exhale slowly through the mouth for 8 counts. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you repeat that for 4 cycles if you can. So, a couple things I'll mention here. If you feel lightheaded when you're doing that, because a lot of people do shallow breaths, so when they're doing that, inhale for 4, and then holding for 7, and then exhaling for 8. It may be where people become a little hypoxic or just feeling a little bit faint. Hopefully not, but of course, stop doing something. And, but keep this in mind. 4 cycles is ideal, but if you're only able to do it for 1, 2, or 3, that's fine. It's better than nothing. And heck, if you can do it for more, that's great. And that can be something too, like I said, waiting in line or when you're driving during a quiet moment. And this could also be even if you're having difficulty sleeping, and that can help with calming your mind. So keep this in mind and make it a daily habit as much as you can. So next up is setting boundaries. So setting boundaries, boy, this is a hard one for a lot of people, but it's really important to say no to protect yourself from additional stress and setting boundaries. So most of us do know the appropriate times to say yes or no, but a lot of times people say yes to many things. So no to overcommitting to events, no to taking on extra responsibilities, no to conversations or dynamics or people who drain you. And so these are some examples of saying no. So it seems like a few times a year there tends to be one of those weekends or a day where there's like 4 or 5 things happening all at once, maybe more. And I found this last May, I think it was, where we went from one graduation party on a far side of town to another party at a very south end of town to another graduation party. It was like we covered the entire city or region in that one day to get from one place to another. It wasn't my choice, so to speak, to do all 3 of these. This was related to people my husband worked with, but it was something where it was exhausting. And with the holidays, there's things coming up. I have a couple of events that I've been invited to tomorrow, and as much as I want to go to both, it's not realistic, it's not practical, it's not necessary for me to do both. One is something I organize, so of course I'm going to be at that one. And the other one is something my friend is having, a casual event she is having at her business. And she knows my saying no is nothing personal. I really want to be there, but I've got to set my limits. And so that's just one of those things to keep in mind. Other boundaries could be limiting the time you spend at large gatherings. If this is something that excites you, great. But if this is something that drains you, a lot of times when my husband and I are going somewhere, we say, how long are we going to go? How long are we going to stay? And we have this mutual agreement that we are going to be there for a certain time. And then if it turns out, we're having a great time and it's not draining, we will stay longer. But we have mutually agreed beforehand how long we want to be there. Another thing in setting boundaries, decline extra work or volunteer projects. So I do like to volunteer because I like to be involved in many things. And this year I decided I wasn't going to volunteer for a specific thing, and by chance it also got canceled. I was recently asked to step up in a leadership position, and in the past I would have said yes and made it work. This time I said right away, no, I know I cannot take that on right now. It is not the right fit for me. So I declined it. I don't know what's going to happen in that situation where they need that leadership, but I'm not the person at the time for this. And it's okay. It's okay. So here's something, have a script or have a saying or something you can do that says no graciously. So we don't have to offer an explanation. I had a friend who said, I'm overcommitted. I can't do that. I'm overcommitted. wasn't a lie, it was the complete truth, and she didn't have to give a justification past that. You can also say, I appreciate the invite, but I have to pass this time. I've got a lot on my plate. You don't have to justify that lot on your plate may be different days that you just don't have the energy to go on that particular event, to that particular event. So you don't have to offer explanations. A lot of us really want to offer an explanation, a reason, an excuse, and we don't have to. And if somebody asks, you have a lot on your plate, and that's enough. So I encourage you to set those boundaries. Another thing is creating a calming routine. So the breathing is to help you in the moment as much as you can. That can also be part of a calming routine. But really having a time that is intentional me time. So I work from home a lot, and I have specified in my own home that 5 o'clock is when I stop working. It may be earlier, but it's not after 5 unless there's something specific that I've planned. But having a routine, an intentional me time, have start and stopping time. Morning routine that is a calming way of getting you going. That can be a cup of tea. For me, it's a cup of coffee or 3. That may not be calming to other people, but for me, coffee is a comfort food. I can take it or leave it. I have gone days without coffee. I mostly choose not to go without coffee because I do enjoy the comfort it brings me. So that's not your morning routine, maybe. I know people where they journal every morning. I know people who do a stretching routine every morning. What works for you in your morning routine? And even evening wind downs, that could be, so wind down, not wine, but winding down with a book, bath. For me, that just takes more time and it doesn't help me with a wind down, but a way to relax. So there is a specific time, most of the time, not every night, but most nights, where I close things down. I put my phone away, put it on the charger. I don't have my phone in my room. And I go and I wash my face and do all my personal evening routine to help just bring things down a bit. And it's just helpful. And I've really found that gives me that 20 to 30 minutes of disconnecting before going to bed. But really, those routines can have stability when we've got unpredictability. Don't want to be so rigid that you can't accept fluctuations in schedules, but really ensuring that you schedule moments to prioritize them. So if you don't have a morning routine, you don't have an evening wind down routine, but have something where you can have 5, 10, 15 minutes during the day to just step back and disconnect for a bit. And one of the best things is integrating movement, having yoga, having walk, relieving tension. That could include listening to music on the walk or while you're doing that, and that can be part of the wind down. One of the things that I used to just get so stressed out about traffic. And 2 things there. 1, we have no control over it. 2, we are part of the problem. If you're in traffic, you are traffic. And 3, if you're not in an accident and you get home safely, that's always a good thing. So I've just come to accept that certain times of the day, yes, I work from home for the most part, but there's a lot of times where I have appointments at 4 o'clock on the other side of town. And so I am coming home during rush hour, and I've just come to accept that it will be 30 minutes to get home, maybe more, even great if it's less. And I've accepted that because I have no control over it. And yeah, maybe I could find quicker ways. Probably isn't going to be quicker anyway, even if there's an accident on my usual route home. But just having that acceptance of things happen and what's not in our control. So again, stress is not something we can fully eliminate. We control our reactions, we can protect our well-being and enjoy things day to day and the season. I've got my list of baking that I want to do, and nobody's going to care if I don't do it all. So, reiterating, setting the boundaries. I don't have to put pressure on myself to make those things. I have my top 3, top 1, whatever, it happens. Doing those breathing exercises. So, again, 4, 7, 8. Develop calming routines that work for you. It's not the same for everybody. And then finally, I want to emphasize this. These practices, you've heard this before, it's about progress, not perfection. If you don't do it every day or you don't remember to do it at a time of stress, it's okay. Remind yourself for the next time, and it becomes easier to remember and part of a habit. So, with that, I want to encourage you to try one new technique this coming week, whether that's breathing, whether that's saying no and feeling good about it, or creating one of those calming routines that works for you. And I would love to hear what works for you, or if you have other tips for calming or managing stress. I would love to hear from you. That is where you can message me. I've got my contact information in the show notes. You can comment and follow and rate this podcast wherever you may be listening. And I have a new episode every single Friday. So it's nutrition, it's real world nutrition. So sometimes it's things that affect our nutrition or our physical bodies. But I want to wish you a stress less, joyful, calm holiday season, and only take on what you can manage. All right, everyone. Until next week, I'm signing off. Happy holidays. Take care. Bye for now.